Please.
Yeah, right.
I hate kids. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not a fan either, and that's the problem. Is being a
Back in my day, we had armor that gave you plus to fire.
Shit, right?
Fucking punk kids. You and your BCs and your Lich Kings. We had Van Cleef, goddammit.
They're gonna be started on the freaking number squish, stat squish. Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, I miss seeing huge numbers pop up.
It destroyed so much, and I didn't like this from the beginning. I fought it from the beginning. Not that doesn't be good, but I've looked back as I was on my DK, looking at some of the items that drop and stuff post squish, and there are some items that have literally the exact same stats because the way they squish, they're the same. It's just, it broke so much of the game. The squish, I don't like it. Now I understand that some technical reasons. The biggest was, my understanding was this. Actually had to do with HOTS. HOTS and raids were rolling relatively irregularly for large amounts, and that created a great deal when there were a lot of raids going on the server of number crunching for servers, just plain large integer values, and so that was the primary reason for squishing. It's kind of weird, I know, but there you go. My problem
just the high numbers is such a bigger taxation on the system too.
It is, and my problem is that I can understand the logic of this. I could even get behind. All right, you want to basically divide the numbers, literally just change the numbers to smaller. Fine, even if it means, which this is the problem, even if it means level 10 you're doing like 2 damage.
Yeah.
Fine, but that was the problem. They didn't want to do that, so instead they changed the scale itself. But by doing that, they would have broken a freaking promise that players demanded, rightfully so, that what about soloing old content? Well, okay, so to comply with that, they changed the scale, but then they applied this really busted, janky solution, which was, that now we're going to buff you. So we'll change the scale, but if you're against lower level mobs, we don't want to hassle with this at lower levels, so we're just going to super buff you. So even though you're only hitting for 40,000 or whatever at level 100, you're going to hit Bragg for 1 million. Because.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't like that. It's broken.
Yeah.
It's.
And that, let's just face it, I miss seeing huge numbers pop up on the screen. Just made you feel more like a badass.
Yeah, no, I agree. Huge numbers. I love that. And there's other ways they could have, not to backseat engineer this, but I don't understand why. Like, there are other technical ways this could have been handled. For example, use a multiplication factor. So on the server, you scale the numbers down. I know it sounds weird, but like, hear me through. Basically, when the server's making calculations, basically just smaller numbers. Then when they get to the client, basically it was the mega damage solution. You get to the client, you multiply the numbers and make them big again. It sounds stupid, but why not? It works.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's like, you know
what? The server calculates you hit for 5,000. You get to your client, 5 billion or whatever, 5 million, whatever. It works.
Of course, this would be the fucking tune that everything is getting upgraded. Like, all the gear I'm getting from Quest is upgrading to rare. Like, of course. Didn't happen on my other fucking tunes. The tune that doesn't need it, that's the one that's getting it.
Oh, I forgot you first.
Anybody else miss Baron's chat?
I never experienced it.
Not particularly.
Yeah, it was fucking annoying, but you could hear and read some really funny shit there. I mean, some truly funny shit.
I'm trying to think I don't know if Alliance ever had anything equivalent to Baron's chat. We had.
Yeah, y'all had Let's Go fucking summon like minions and shit on the fucking crossroads. Let's do that. I watched a a DM having some fun. They created one of the elementals, like the Warlock elemental. The Abyssal, that's the word I'm looking for. I had to highlight mine to get the fucking name. But it was the size of Crossroads. I'll never fucking forget that. That scared the shit out of me. I was a very new player, just found the Crossroads for the first time, and there is a fucking giant fucking Abyssal attacking the Crossroads. Don't know where it came from. I assume it was a fucking DM. Maybe it was someone hacking the game. I have no clue. But that was some scary shit.
They had some really cool... well, WoW scaling engine has been incredible. But they've also had some really cool kiting encounters where, people would kite like Kazakh Stormwind and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the game mechanics back then just would not fly today. For instance, having to use... You better have someone for Frost on... what the fuck was his name? We just talked about him.
Which guild?
In AQ40.
Oh, Vicidius.
Vicidius. No. That kind of shit would not fucking fly these days.
Nope.
Hell no.
Too many people cry about.
I kind of miss that shit though, man. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It's more. I mean, theoretically, it's more realistic. If you're fucking Ragnaros and you're the Lord of Fire, why the hell would fire hurt you?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Well, here's the problem, and some of it stems from PvP, a lot of it stems from PvP, but a lot of it was just Blizzard has become, and it's been a slow. I mean, Ghost Crawlers even said this has been a slow thing. You never saw it happen. He said this after he left, of course. But by homogenizing everything as they have, and creating this environment where people have to feel equal all the time, like especially damage dealers, it's created this problem where, I mean, I do miss the idea that in certain situations, you were either the expert or you were worthless. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
And obviously, as a mage, I mean, the big deal in vanilla was we were the AoE class. I mean, that was it. We were the AoE class. I mean, you had your Hellfire Warlocks. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I miss that.
No, but I mean... And there were other things, I mean, but I miss those scenarios where, for a particular fight, you're either the one or you're worthless. I don't know, it was good.
Who doesn't miss the ability to be able to kill yourself? It's fucking awesome.
Well, it's interesting how I get the sense, I could go on, I mean, I'm going to raid here in about 15, so I'll have to take off, but I get the sense, next expansion, that I think the development team, which they basically refreshed and rod, is finally coming into their own, because there are a ton of mistakes and issues they made this expansion that I think they're reversing.
Yeah. I got to give them props
including
on that.
the PvP, PvE balance issues. I think they're finally acknowledging that we can't have one game, one system. It's not working.
Yeah, I'll give them props on that. But one thing I do have to say, I don't think they're not trying as hard as they did back in the day. Like, coming up with the raids and stuff like that. Like the whole, you have to have this certain type of shit in order to defeat this boss. You don't see anything like that anymore. It's just like so generic in everything you do. And it's just like, have you just lost your imagination?
Yeah.
Because you used to come across just the craziest shit. Like, it was so cool. And now it's just like, it's different, but at the same time, we've seen it.
Yeah, come to think of it, I mean, it immediately comes to mind the Kara fights. Freaking, the opera encounter. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it was goofy, but it was... You know what? We didn't need it to be serious and fucking hardcore all the fucking time. I loved the opera fight.
Yeah.
Just
because
because...
I think was one of the best raids ever made.
WoW had a goofy fucking sense of humor with some of their shit, and that's what made it WoW.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, to the death, at all cost, all the time. It was like, this is pretty fucking goofy. I like this. It's funny. Or the chess. Remember the chess?
Chess, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Which, again, truly was different. I mean, chess event gets a bad name now just because people get frustrated soloing it. But in the day, it was quite the event.
Exactly. You don't see shit like that anymore. And I don't know if it's the population that's kind of made them quit doing that. Like they're afraid to piss anybody off, for lack of a better phrase. You know, just, oh, the masses don't want anything like that, so we better not do it. Or have they just lost their imagination? And I wish they'd really get back to just the goofier side of shit sometimes.
I think my opinion is, and this is why I get back into why I was raging on the too many difficulties, was because, especially 4. 3, all right, I get behind 3. 4, here's the problem. Raids are too much freaking work for them to develop right now.
That's kind of true.
Good God. I mean, and actually, here's the thing. I'm kind of when I go to my extremist side, which, Ali, you've heard many times, I would say my favorite mode of raiding was vanilla BC Wrath style, where it was, okay, in LFR, I can accept that as an okay thing, but forget mythic difficulty, forget all of these, have one raid, and have the difficulty of the raid increase per tier, just as it did in vanilla through, Wrath it didn't really do it, but vanilla BC, and I can say, because then, I know the first argument is, well then we don't get to see the last tier, we won't get to see it. You know what? I didn't see most of Nat's in its prime, I didn't see most of Sunwell in its prime, and you know what? I didn't care, because when we got there, late in the expansion, it was a privilege to be there doing trash.
Exactly.
Like.
Yeah, exactly. It really was. And that's what we're going back, that's what I'm saying, you know, back in our earlier conversation of, with the attunement and stuff, you felt like you earned the right to fucking be there.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it's just like, because, man, do you remember seeing the people in the fucking badass fucking raid gear? Just, you would wave at them just hoping they'd stop and talk to you, because you're like, holy shit, look at this gear.
Exactly.
And you couldn't get it because you didn't get attuned. That's your own fuck up.
So
legendary, dude.
And I don't know if I buy into the you know, they don't have the time to make these raids and shit, because I've got one response to that. Ulduar. That was the most badass fucking place. How huge it was. You know what I mean? Just the thought process and the imagination that went into every single fucking, and it was like you were like sweeping door to door. Like, here's this boss for fire. Here's the dragon across the hall. That was amazing.
Brilliant way of doing, you know, what we now call mythic or heroic, whatever. Yeah. Brilliant way of doing it was, I mean, and you're like creative. I mean, the red button, or hey, you know, DPS
do you want to attack the heart, or do you want to leave the heart alone?
Oh, how many raids? One of our best raid moments, I think, one of the best raid moments for so many raids was you finally get your DPS up high enough, you're going crazy, me, the stupid mage, going nuts on it. Yeah. It was like, stop. Oh, shit, hard mode.
Yeah, exactly. And I miss stuff like that. Or, hey, how many pillars do you guys want to leave up? But the problem is the community, like as in the players, have gotten to the point where they just want to get in, raffle stomp. They don't care about the little shit like that. And honestly, I can't blame Blizzard for not doing that shit anymore. Why should they put in the fucking time and effort if people really don't care? Because the people that care about, like, how many, the towers and the heart and all that, they're few and far between. So I can't really blame Blizzard for not doing that shit. They put a lot of effort into that, and like most people that I've talked to didn't even know that if you took towers down, it made it easier or harder. So it's like, yeah, as a developer, I'd be fucking pissed.
One thing that I always tried to do in raids is I always tried to look up at the ceilings.
Yeah.
Because ceilings, I think, are a little overlooked.
Yeah, and a lot of raids have
there's a lot of amazing looking fucking ceilings.
Exactly. It's one of those, they work their ass off to make that, and no one ever looks at it.
Very good point.
One of the best things I could think of is Algalon's room.
Yeah.
That entire fucking thing is just insanely beautiful. I showed my brother some things in Old War a few months ago.
Yeah.
I showed him Algalon. He like flipped out over Algalon and how beautiful the fight was.
That's what I'm saying.
And everything. And he's like, dude, I kind of wish I could have played this back when it was current. Because that looks awesome.
I had experience. I had that exact same sentiment hit me. That really resonated because I think that similar experience hit me. Not quite as cool as Algalon's room, but although I know what you mean there. But no, I was leveling probably like my paladin, so it was like just like 3 months ago, and I was in Auchendir. And probably like which one? It wasn't the Kunai Crypts. It was the it's the one on the west side. Anyway,
west side.
Kunai Halls or one of those. Anyway, I was in there right towards the end, and just for whatever reason, I tilted my mouse up. I looked up and I'm like, there's like this cool chamber and crack in the ceiling. Anyway, I realized at that point I had never looked up before, and that dungeon is 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they work their ass off, and no one even sees it, and yet they still do it. They know damn well no one's looking up. They know damn well, but they still do it. But I don't know. I just miss that stuff. Like, okay, can you imagine? The
most recent feeling I had of something like, wow, they actually like did this awesomely was Throne of Thunder. I love Throne of Thunder and the architecture and everything.
Here's what I didn't like about Throne of Thunder, though. Don't get me wrong, I love the architecture and all that. Ulduar was fucking huge. When you walked into a room, it was fucking massive, and the boss would be like standing on his fucking altar, just like waiting for you to come to him. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Throne of Thunder was more like you walk in a room, the boss is standing right next to the door. There you go. You know what I mean? Like Ulduar and all the older raids. Well, not all of them, but most of the older raids it was more epic feeling. You know what I mean? Like you got into the room, but you still had to make it to this giant fucking boss who's just chilling. Like, bring it.
Fucking trash everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
or a boss, when you wipe, he gets stronger. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they'd make a boss today that did that. Watch a lot of these fuckers who've never played back then lose their shit.
Or worse, just with Algalon, with heroic, what's his bucket? Who's the one in Throne of Thunder? The stupid boss?
Rodan.
I was like, you're going to be more specific.
Sinestra as well.
Sinestra, yeah. Basically limited wipes. A hard mode only limited wipes. That was brutal for those trying to do it today, too. I mean...
Especially like world first and shit.
Yeah. I also don't like that, like when I play, I try to keep up with the lore and whatnot, especially like main storylines. But even some of the side ones, if you pay attention, they can get downright fucking depressing. Like, you get emotionally involved in this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, God, I wish I could remember these fuckers' names, man. It's not Onyxia. Onyxia is that fucking black dragon. In the Oculus. Who's that dragon in the Oculus? The blue one. You remember, like...
Malagos?
The chick turns into the red dragon and all that?
Yeah.
People don't fucking realize what happened to her. Like, do you know the lore behind that? When you're outside Dalaran, I think it's Dalaran, you meet this lady in a red dress. She gives you a quest. You're helping her out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She's the red dragon. She gets imprisoned, forced to be basically his concubine, and then he fucking, like, kills her and shit like that. That's some depressing shit. Like, you become her friend, and then ultimately you have to fucking kill her, because she, guess what, is in fucking, the Nexus? She's the fucking dragon in the Nexus that you have to kill.
Yeah.
That's some depressing shit. Like, you just helped her out, and then you had to kill her. Like, he doomed her there, and you had to fucking fight her.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people just don't realize that. They just think, oh, it's another dragon in there. No, you've met her before.
There's a lot of stuff. See, I've kept up with the lore mostly because I'm a little I never actively role playing this game, and yet you know I'm on Feathermoon, and yet I go crazy with like having the role play information for my characters. So I've got all this stuff I had to figure out, especially Allie, because freaking made some water on. Well, yeah, and a lot of stuff there is always fun. Oh, it's a total side note, by the way. That was the other thing that kind of bugged me about that my former guild I was in for a few months. Not just the raid, although that was by far the worst. I always thought myself as a decent role player, and certainly I was proud of having like
a story,
half book worth of like narrative for my characters, right? Well, I got in with them. I never really realized what an elitist RPer was.
Yeah, I've never gotten into it. I would suck at that. I'll be the first one to say it. I can see that. I can see the attraction to it. Don't get me wrong, but there's no fucking way I could do that.
Oh well, and like okay, they were what they called me a passive RPer, which is fine, which meant I write stuff, but I don't actually play it in the world, which suits me, whatever. Right. But then like that's not the problem. They were passive and active RPers. What really teed me off a few times was I'd be in after raid and stuff, and I'd be chatting with them about character history stuff because I thought it was, hey, finally, people who are kind of interested in my character story. So
right.
I mean, and they're like, well, that's great. Oh no, your character wouldn't believe that because she's from Lorder on it. It's just whoa, no, don't
calm down, lady.
I've done my research. Don't tell me about my character. I mean, as a kind of an amateur writer, that nothing will piss a writer off more than saying.
Yeah.
What your characters think.
Exactly.
but and it did keep going on that. Basically, where I get to, we'll start doing that with Warcraft lore. I'm like, dude, it's Warcraft lore. This is not Tolkien. This is not.
Yeah, exactly.
This world is not so well developed that you can freaking make these crazy arguments about things.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I like to call those people the special little snowflakes. Like they're right no matter what, and if you call them out saying they're wrong, they get pissed off and threaten to leave the guild or whatever.
Yep.
I'm like, aren't you a special little snowflake? But I say that I could never roleplay and all this, but earlier I just started recording this not too long ago. By the way, guys, you're going to be on YouTube. Congratulations. Well, except for Howie, he's got his own channel. Anyways, when I created that warlock, remember that I was talking about that undead warlock I made? That was like a first tune, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Like basically, I kind of did like an RP thing with it because I was like, I named him Gustav, right? Because he was undead, he was a skeleton, and Gustav was I read that he was like a Spanish conquistador, right? That died and all this. And I was just like, how awesome would that be? I'm Gustav. I am this wickedly evil man that was alive in history. And so I was like, I'm going to make the skeleton of him. Like, he got risen up. And I played like I was an evil son of a bitch. So, in a way, it's like, I kind of roleplayed, but no one knew I was doing it. Like, it didn't even click with me until you just started talking about RP. I'm like, holy fuck. Right. I actually kind of did that. Yeah, I thought of a backstory for my character. And
a character concept.
Yeah. Exactly. I think too few people do that anymore. They really don't. Like, I put a lot of thought into the name. I'm like, XXX, gonna shoot you in the face, XXX. You know what I mean? Like, if the name is taken, I move on to a different fucking name. I don't put a bunch of bullshit in it that doesn't belong in the fucking name.
Plus, it also makes it difficult to invite you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. But like Shadow's Wrath. People know Shadow's Wrath. Very easy to invite Shadow's Wrath. Hey, do you know Shadow's Wrath? Yes, I fucking do. He's a fucking priest. Well, now he's a warlock on this server, but my original Shadow's Wrath on the different server is on Feathermoon he's a freaking Shadow Priest. Shadow's Wrath, Shadow Priest makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
Gnome Chaser, he's a fucking orc. He chases gnomes. He goes into battlegrounds without killing anybody, just chases gnomes around.
Well, my oldest alt is I've always been really making sure I had an in-world sensible character name. But my oldest alt I named, which was I rolled back in early vanilla, named Nightlands, and she's a night elf Kaldari rogue, and it's funny because people over the years ask me the roleplay question. Well, what kind of name is that? I'm like, dude, it's perfect. It's her nickname. It's not her real name. That's the name she goes by because she's a rogue.
Exactly.
Makes sense to me.
Oh, I've got the best name. Worgens came out. I have a druid named Squatting Dog. I thought that was the most epic name ever. I could not believe it hadn't been taken. Squatting Dog. Fucking amazing.
Squatting Dog.
I've got exactly right. You can't help but laugh. I've also got another druid called Taking a Shift, and it's spelled properly. All my names are spelled properly. I can't believe I am the luckiest person when it comes to fucking names, because none of them are taken.
where there are a couple. One I have where I meta game. Well, I meta it a little bit. For example, Mole Shot, my Tauren, because it's like Mole, like Mulgore, Shot, like dude, it's kind of dumb, but.
Yeah.
And I don't have this tune anymore, but my very first Tauren I rolled back in vanilla was a Tauren hunter named Brutar. You know,
oh nice.
T-A-U-R. I was like, yeah, dude, that's cool.
My favorite Tauren name that I ever heard was a Tauren druid, and his name was Steakform.
Okay.
I was like, that's awesome.
I had a Tauren warrior, I think I still have him, named Buffalo Butt. And it's spelled properly, Buffalo Butt. I was like, fucking amazing. It's not taken. That's what I do though. I have another orc warrior, I think, called Work Complete. And every time someone's like, "What's your name?" Especially if they're like on Skype or anything like any voice chat, they're like, "What's your name?" I'm like, Work Complete.
That's awesome.
So I created another one called Done Building Ship. That one you couldn't spell out because there's too many letters, but it says Done Building Ship. It'll take back to Warcraft 3 and 2.
Some people get really protective of their names on, especially joined realms, and I never really bought into that. A lot of people have gone, like, because Feathermoon's joined Scarlet Crusade, and they went over to Scarlet Crusade, starting reserving names. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I really care.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'd be kind of pissed because, like, I went to create a tune on another realm named Shadow's Wrath, and I was like, motherfucker, it's taken. Like, it has not, on 3 different realms that I've created, it's been open. And then Zach had me switch into one realm, and it was fucking taken. I was pissed.
My only concern with someone taking my name is that they give it a bad reputation.
Right.
And then if someone else sees me with the same name, they
assume, like, oh, you're a dickhead.
Person. Yeah, exactly. But whoa, hang on. We're two different people.
If you'll notice,
that would be my only concern.
My warlock that I'm on right now is named Shadow's Wrath. He didn't used to be named Shadow's Wrath. Remember, he used to be a gnome back on Feathermoon. And his name was No Mercy.
Yep.
Which I fucking miss. I miss being named No Mercy, but Zach talked me into coming to this fucking server, so I was like, okay, Shadow's Wrath it is, I guess. Because No Mercy was taken.
Yeah. I still have my little Gnome Warlock 2-for-1.
Yeah, 2-for-1.
That name sounds familiar. No Mercy?
No Mercy is just... No Mercy,
did you ever rate that?
best name for a warlock. Yeah, I rated.
We must have rated together at one point. We must have. Because I know that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I rated on him. That's this current warlock. I mean, that's why he's so geared, because I fucking rated. I rated just so I get the gear to get my green fire. I was like, I want the gear so I can fucking get my green fire.
I use my level 90 boost on my like 46 gnome just for the fucking green fire.
In vanilla, who were you raiding with most of the time?
No, I didn't have him back in vanilla.
Oh, okay. Well, when were you raiding that for the
I got into raiding. What was that guild that we were in, Alley, that we raided with?
Jeez. You know how long ago that was?
I know, it was before Ulduar. It was fucking... God, what was the name of that fucking guild? Oh my god. Was it Frosty Mug Clan?
Frothy Mug Clan?
Frothy Mug Clan, yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I think they're still around.
They are. I think that was the first guild I raided with, was the Frothy Mug Clan.
You know,
don't quote me, but I think that's
what I love about, and this is so weird. See, I remember how I almost transferred Allie, but I did. By the way, it's confusing. Yeah, I always forget the name thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I did. So basically, I've been on Feathermoon the whole time, and when I was another weird thing about this guild that I was raiding with for a while, aside from the RP hardcore thing and aside from the raid thing, was there was something. Even though we were a conjoined realm, there was something different about everyone being from Scarlet Crusade. I mean, and mostly it was just that they have all these stories. They're an old guild, and I didn't know anyone from any of them. I get back to Damage Incorporated, and dude, everyone knows someone from back in the day.
Right. And, honestly, I like that, because you do get to know different people. Even if they're in a different guild or something, you sub, they sub, you get to know people.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody on the server.
That's one of the things I liked about, not having cross-realm crap is you had a server, you got to know people, you got to know
Yeah, it was a community.
who to go with, who to not go with, and you had server reputations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which means if you were a dick, everybody knew you were a dick.
Everybody knew you were a dick. Like,
So-
Zach was well known. Well fucking known, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I can't say
I was known for being a pretty good guy, but
yeah.
not always being available.
I can't tell you how many guilds I got kicked out of because Zach could not keep his temper.
Well, his temper is...
And that's saying a lot, because I got a fucking temper on me. But, damn, I would log in as like, you've been kicked out of the guild. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Oh, I pissed somebody off. And that really sucks, because eventually I got known as, oh, that's Zach's cousin. I was no longer Shadow's Wrath. I was no longer No Mercy. I was Zach's cousin. I was Malachi's cousin. That's you know, everybody knows him as Malachi. Oh,
yes.
That's Malachi's cousin. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, you're doomed now, son.
Yeah. Vigilant Watch, kicked out.
No big loss.
I think he got invited back into Vigilant Watch, didn't he? I thought.
I did.
No, Metal is very forgiving. I thought he invited Malachi back too.
Yeah, but I think he got kicked again.
Could have been. It's not hard to get kicked from VW. Just use
Who
the
was
choice one.
who was we were with before VW? God, I cannot even remember that far back.
Well, we were in Ferrix Guild Absolution for a while.
Absolution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
That's the one where we got that Realm First. Whatchamacallit kill on that.
Yep, and that's why Shadow's Wrath has not left that guild. Because I still got that shit.
Yeah, I really wish that they didn't make Realm First guild-wide.
Yeah,
Or rather, I wish that they had kept them character and guild.
Right, that way if you leave the guild, you still got your shit.
Exactly, because then I would still have...
Because I'm telling you, Shadow's Wrath is...
I would still have Heroic Lei Shen as the server first.
Yeah. And Shadow's Wrath is stuck in that fucking guild with no one in it. There's no one in that guild anymore.
Wasn't that Infinite Horizons?
Yeah, that was the original Infinite Horizons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the second one, the original Infinite Horizons. And I'm stuck in that with no one else in the guild with me, but I'm not leaving that fucking guild.
You're the leader, though, aren't you?
I don't know. I think Zach is. I think one of Zach's tunes is.
Well, you could probably petition to have it sent to you since Zach hasn't been online in the Coon's age.
Right?
Oh,
yeah,
shit, that's right.
They should have made it, you know,
They should have made
character.
Character and guild.
Because now it's just like, okay, I'm going to leave this guild, so I'm going to screenshot this shit to
Yeah.
prove that... Speaking of which, I should do that. I should log over and screenshot that motherfucker so I know I got it. Because if
I
that
think I did at some point. Yeah.
it's like if that guild ever dissipates, then you're just fucked.
Yeah. And it leaves.
Yep.
Well, I better take off. I got to get over to Mumble to the old DI chat.
Well, have fun.
Thanks. Good chat and all.
Have tons of fun. Yeah.
Let me know if you want to join that vanilla server, because I really would like to have at least someone I know with play on that server.
I'm more than a little tempted with some spare time coming up, and like I said, there's some concepts I really would love to play with.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. I'll let you know. I'll chat with you guys later.
All right, take it easy.
See ya.